What up guys, Drizzmeister here. Alright, so in this video we're gonna be talking about how to get better with Motogp 21, especially on the braking. I did a part 1 of this series of the video on how to get better last week, so if you're interested in that, I'll put out a pop-up banner here so you can go check that one before you continue watching this one. So in this video we're gonna talk about how to get better on the braking, and I'm gonna be showing you how to set up your bike in order to minimize stoppie and also get a smoother experience with the game. So if you are interested in that, you should just definitely watch this video, and if you want to avoid this kind of crashes and this kind of frustration, you should definitely subscribe to my channel, because on this channel I try to help you guys, especially guys new to the game and trying to get better and having some issue and frustration in order to get quicker in the game. So without further ado, let's get down into this video guys. Alright guys, so the physics of the game has been changed compared to last year Motogp 20 game. So that means you need to tweak your riding style in order to match this year's physics requirement. So the first thing you need to know how to get better at is your trail braking techniques guys, because to produce a fast and consistent lap time on a track, you must implement 3 important techniques. The first important one is trail braking guys, and before learning this technique, it's important to recognize that your brakes serve multiple purposes. Not only do they provide the deceleration, they also give you control over the pitch and the angle of your bike as you enter a bend apex. This allows you to use the maximum grip provided by your tires guys. The other technique is to know how to manipulate your bike balance by maintaining brake pressure trailing while turning into the corner. So I'm going to be showing you some clips and showing you how done. Alright guys, check this out. We are in Valencia doing some hot lap gameplay. So I'm going to be showing you how I use the rear of the bike to steer the front end of the bike into the apex 6 in order to lessen the pressure from the front of the bike. So I'm able to rely less on the front braking. Basically I'm using the trail braking technique in order to get the front end of the bike to turn into the apex in order to get a better entry and in turn get a better exit and avoid crashing. Furthermore, you need to try and do all your braking sitting the bike upright before you start leaning for an apex. Alright, so let's roll back the clip in slow motion so I can try and show you how I'm using the trail braking technique. Alright, pay attention to the right side of your screen on the tire graphic there and see how I initially apply my front brake first, then use the rear at the same time to kind of get the rear to slide to the right, and at the same time I'm also downshifting, releasing the rear brake, applying the front pressure in order to stop the bike while I'm still on the upright lane angle, and then slowly leaning the bike into the apex. And at this time I've already released the rear brake and I was more leaning on the front end of the bike but with less pressure, so I could really maintain and manage the entry much better and get a perfect, almost perfect entry. Better entry equals great exit. Let's roll on to the second bend and let me show you the sequence again. Alright, so third gear, decelerating, grab the front brake, use the rear brake to slide the rear to the right in order to get a better attack angle for the bend. Shift down to second, still maintaining the pressure for the front end, wait a bit and shift down to first gear and start leaning the bike gently towards the apex. Don't go too aggressively, otherwise you will fall here. So this is how I get the job done guys. I basically shift down when I'm approaching the bend, grab the front brake, use the rear brake, trail braking, to slide the rear a little bit so I can get a better attack angle. Then start downshifting, maintaining the front brake pressure, not too aggressively, and slowly leaning the bike into the bend. This is my technique guys, and this is how you can get better with the new physics of the game. My riding style is not the fastest out there, but I assure you, if you're able to apply these tips, you will get much faster and much better. Alright, let's move on to braking. So in order to avoid braking, stopping and all that kind of issue going on in the game right now, so when you hit the brake at the high speed before a corner, the weight of the bike shifts forward, causing the front of the bike to squat. This drives the front tire into the tarmac, which in turn lifts the rear end and uncontrollable and ultimately, you know, causing you guys to crash. So you can lessen this movement by, you know, tweaking your preload setting and also your stiffness setting of the bike, and including your oil quality setting as well, in order to have that you know, movement minimized, so to get a better feel and less stoppy all the time. Okay, let's head over to the setup menu and let me show you the setup I'm using to avoid stoppy most of the time. All right, on Portimao, so preload setting I'm using as a first example is set to 4th click, then, and you know, check out how I struggle here to get the bike stop, and how the rear is just all over the place, and I couldn't really do anything but just slide off. And then 2nd clip now, set the preload to minimum, and look how much smoother I was able to take the bend. The differences is pretty clear there, ladies and gents. So this is how I kind of test out the differences between, you know, preload setting and other setting in the game in order to maximize my potential in going quicker. So we're gonna head over into the suspension setting again, and let me give you a rundown what's going on with the preload setting. So by changing the preload setting, you raise the center of the gravity of the bike higher, and you stiffen up the suspension a little bit more. So when you brake, you have much movement in the suspension travel, especially if you're using maybe softer suspension, then it will, you know, you have that much more travel in there, so that will really pitch the rear of the bike up. Then you have a fall over and stoppy. So by lowering the center of the gravity, you know, lowering the preload setting, you lower the center of the gravity of the bike, so the bike is more stable on the braking. That means you have less suspension travel, which reloads less into the rear, lifting up and causing a stoppy. So but the only thing is, when you are on a high-speed bend, you still need a bit of a preload in order to navigate the bend much smoother, because too much stability at the front can also, you know, destabilize the rear when you're coming out, because when you're running like a high preload at the rear and lower preload at the front, that could really work against each other. So this is how you kind of think and try to, you know, read the game, advices in order to get the maximum out of how you set up your bike. So my advice would be, if you're struggling a lot on Portimao, then, you know, use a less preload setting at the front end and lessen the preload setting also a bit at the rear. But I think at the last sector to the finish, you will struggle there a little bit. Furthermore, guys, choosing the right trail and steering head inclination setting is also very important. I always go to trail almost maximum because I love that stability on the front end, or especially with Motogp 21. But we're gonna be doing another video next time just specific for that and other setting in the game. And also choosing the right brake disc is very, very important. You know, smaller brake discs give you that modularity through the track, and larger brake discs, you know, stop the bike much quicker. So on a very tight lean angle, then I think you might suffer when you're using a bigger brake disc. So for example, Yamaha, I ride better on Yamaha with a smaller brake disc. So be on the lookout for another video which I will dedicate to, or just only braking and the differences between, you know, smaller brake discs and bigger brake discs with different bikes in the game. Alright guys, we are nearing the end of this video, man. You know, there is a fine balance when you learning how to trail brake into a corner. If you turn in with too much brake pressure, the rear tire will unload, leading to snap you oversteer. So keep that in mind, because by understanding these things, you know, you can really get better and get much faster in the game. So if you find this video informative, please consider subscribing to my channel, hit the like button on your way out there, and also comment. I do massively appreciate your support, guys. Be on the lookout for my coming video on how to get better on Motogp 21, because I'm going to be, you know, showing you how to set up all the settings in the game in order to get better. So I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. I'll see you at the next video. Stay safe out there, guys. Peace.